So today we're going to talk about the Earth, Moon, and Sun system. This is presented by Rachel Garcia at the University of Texas at El Paso. Here we have our solar system. You can see all the planets which make up our solar system. The Sun is at the far left, and the third planet from the Sun is Earth, and Earth is orbited by the Moon. This is the Sun. It is a star and is classified as a G2 star. Stars are given a designation consisting of a letter and a number according to the nature of their spherical lines, which correspond roughly to surface temperature. The classes are O, B, A, F, G, K, and M. O stars are the hottest, M are the coolest. The numbers are simply subdivisions of the major classes. The classes are always sequenced because they were assigned long ago before we understood their relationship to temperature. O and B stars are rare but very bright. M stars are numerous but dim. It is the largest object in our solar system and is about 4.5 billion years old. The Sun has a hydrogen core, and since being created it has used up about half of its core. But the Sun has been predicted to live up to 5 billion years more. Something very noticeable on the Sun are its sunspots. Now, what are sunspots? There are cooled regions on the Sun. They look dark in comparison to the rest of the Sun. Although not fully understood, they are thought to be caused by interactions with the Sun's magnetic field. Let's talk about the Earth. The Earth is the third planet from the Sun and also the fifth largest of the 9 planets. Earth is part of the terrestrial planets, which are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Terrestrial planets are composed primarily of rock and metal and have high densities, slow rotation, solid surfaces, no rings, and few satellites. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and 71% of the water's surface is covered in water. Yet we've only found that in Earth is the only place where water can exist in a liquid form. The Earth is set up in layers, almost like peeling an onion. You can start with the most outer layer known as a crust. The crust is composed of continental crust or oceanic crust. The continental crust can be between 10 and 70 kilometers thick and made up of variable composition. The oceanic is about 5 to 7 kilometers thick and is made up of ophiolite silicates. Ophiolite silicates are sediments, pillow basalts, sheet dikes, massive gabbro, and ultramafic mantle. The mantle is divided into 2 subdivisions, the upper mantle and the lower mantle. It is about 2,900 kilometers thick. This layer is made up of hot semi-solid rock. The outer core layer is mostly liquid and mostly made up of iron and nickel. It is 2,300 kilometers thick. Then you have the inner core. This is the solid and mostly iron and nickel. It is about 5,150 to 6,378 kilometers below the surface. Now we will talk about the Moon. The Moon orbits the Earth, and it orbits about once per month. The Moon is a cold, rocky body about 2,160 miles in diameter. It has no light of its own, but shines by sunlight reflected from its surface. The Moon orbits Earth about once every 29.5 days. As it circles our planet, the changing position of the Moon with respect to the Sun causes our natural satellite to cycle through a series of phases. The Moon has been visited in 1959, being the first exploration to the Moon, then again in 1969. Can you guess why this one is famous? It was visited by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, then again in December in 1972. As the Moon orbits the Earth, the angle between the Earth and the Sun changes. In turn, this creates the lunar phases. In the picture you can see the sunlight represented in yellow hitting the Moon and the Earth. As the Moon's position changes, the sunlight is reflected differently, creating the phases. Now we can talk about interaction with the Earth and the Sun, or what we know as the seasons. What are the 4 seasons? They are spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The Earth is tilted on an invisible angle So when the Earth and the Sun, they interact differently depending on their position. Let's mark ourselves on the northern hemisphere of the Earth. In December, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the Sun, so it causes winter. And when the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the Sun, it causes summer. The opposite happens in the southern hemisphere. Now we can talk about interactions between all three systems, the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. These interactions create eclipses. There are two types of eclipses, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. Let's first talk about a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse only happens during a full moon. There are three types of lunar eclipses. You have a penumbral lunar eclipse, which only part of the moon passes through the Earth's penumbral shadow. Then a partial lunar eclipse, which only parts of the moon passes through the umbral shadow. And a total lunar eclipse, which the entire moon passes through the Earth's umbral shadow. A solar eclipse only happens during a new moon. This is when the moon crosses between the Earth and the Sun. You might think since the moon crosses between the Earth and the Sun about once per month, a solar eclipse would occur, but this is not the case. The moon passes at different angles, so it doesn't always create a solar eclipse. Here are some great websites you can look into on all the things explained here. Thank you.